For the first time ever, the SEC Unfiltered Tour embarks upon Starkville, Mississippi for the Egg Bowl. It's Mississippi State, it's Ole Miss. We are here previewing, predicting, and breaking down this game between the Bulldogs and the Rebels. Hello, everyone. I'm Chris Phillips. He's Cole Thompson. We appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. As always, when we get going, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button over on YouTube. We are inching ever so close to that 30,000 subscriber mark. We can't do it without your love and support. Also, make sure you check out our friends over at FANDUEL because, as always, we are brought to you by our friends at FANDUEL. FANDUEL.com/SECU to join today and get started with $250 in bonus bets when you win your first $5 bet. Once again, that's FANDUEL.com/SECU to get in on the action today. The SEC Unfiltered Tour embarks upon Starkville, Mississippi, Davis Wade Stadium for one of the best and most underrated rivalries in all of college football, folks. It's pure hatred, nothing short of it, when Mississippi State and Ole Miss do battle in a game simply known as the Egg Bowl. We are here previewing, predicting, and breaking down this game. Hell of a one, as always. I'm Chris Phillips, and joining me, as he always does, my co-host, colleague, partner in crime, one of the best in the business, Mr. Cole Thompson. Bear, appreciate you taking the time, my friend. I am stoked to talk about this game with you, and as you can tell, I'm stoked to get down to Starkville, Mississippi. It's been far too long. We've been putting off this trip for far too long. And what a matchup, Bear, we've got on our hands, because it's bigger than just even this game with all the distractions, at least on one side of this thing swirling around. One team trying to play spoiler and win the bragging rights, the other trying to punch their ticket to the college football playoff. Man, we have got a really, really fun one and a game that really needs no extra hype. It's simply the Egg Bowl, my friend. What's going on?
Yeah, the SEC Unfiltered Tour has been to a magnitude of matchups over the last year and a half, whether it be an upset out in Death Valley, whether it be a massive win for Ole Miss at home, whether it be a number one team going on down, Red River, whatever it is. I don't know if you're ever going to be able to say, I went to a matchup where a team won a football game, clinched its spot in the college football playoff, and its best regular season. And that was also the very last game of our head coach before he hightailed it off to two teams that are very much struggling to close out the year. But here's the other thing that we all forgot about, Chris. There's more than just this for the Lane Kiffin experience. Mississippi State has to win this game to be bowl eligible. Do you understand what type of feather in the cap it would be for Jeff Levy and company with this offense and how much has changed to not only knock maybe Ole Miss out of the playoff, but guarantee the prominence and the continuous growth of year two to get this win in front of your hometown crowd? Like there's so many storylines that go into this, and this is a great rivalry game to kick off rivalry weekend. The only tragedy, and I don't really care if you argue with me, it's supposed to be played on Thanksgiving, and unfortunately, you go ahead and you just slap us all in the face. This Lone Star Showdown are two necessities to make the holiday season bright, and unfortunately, we moved it to Black Friday because television decided to go ahead and let the NFL reign supreme.
Yeah, certainly, Bear. I know there's a lot of opinions from Ole Miss and Mississippi State folks alike, and fans of college football like us, about when this game should be played. But either way, it is taking place this Friday, November the 28th, if I do recall correctly. Yes, November the 28th, and it's 11 a.m. Central Time kickoff on ABC in Starkville, Mississippi at Davis Wade Stadium. Bear, via our friends at FanDuel, Ole Miss is a 7.5-point favorite. The over-under is set at 62.5. Ole Miss leads the all-time series 66, 46, and 6. And, of course, last year, Ole Miss won this game in Oxford by a final score of 26-14. Bear, before we dive in the game, like I mentioned, of course, yet again, the SEC Unfiltered Tour, first time ever embarking upon Starkville. All my dogs out there, I need two things from you. Best place to get Hail State merch and best place to get a cowbell, because I need both ahead of the game on Friday. I want to fully immerse myself in the experience that is this cathedral of chaos, as our friend Cole Thompson likes to call it. Davis Wade, going to be rocking. It's going to be a heck of an atmosphere. I don't know that I can prepare myself from a sound standpoint. I don't know that I've ever really heard a cowbell up close and personal. So this is going to be a very interesting experience. I've heard a lot of feedback from different folks, but really, really excited to, again, see the city, hang out with all the great dogs out there, and, of course, the Rebels as well, and hear the cowbells and really immerse myself into it, like I said. So going to be a lot of fun. Bear, when it comes to this game, you are right, by the way. Bowl eligibility is on the line for Mississippi State, which I agree with you. I think, we talked about it before the season, which, side note, crazy that we're in the last week of the regular season. But we talked about it preseason. I mean, it would be a huge accomplishment for Jeff Lebby and company if you're able to get to a bowl game. I think showing forward progress. You talked about it weeks ago before Mississippi State got their first SEC win. You know, you can do whatever in non-conference. You can show progress. You can come close. But people need something tangible. They need proof of concept. At some point, like you talked about it, you can't go 0-16 in SEC play over a 2-year span and expect people to still believe in what you're doing, even if you can see progress on the field. Well, you got that first SEC win out of the way. You go out there and beat your rival, Bear.
Top 10
all of a sudden, top 10 matchup, top 10 win. You go out there and take down your rival, and I don't care what's going on with them behind the scenes or whatever, and we'll get to that more in just a second, but you know, starting with the home team, man, you mentioned the feather in the cap. This would be the signature win. This would be the signature win of the Jeff Lebby era to this point. You've come close. You've been knocking on the door. Bear, you get this one, and I think he's back either way, obviously. I'm not saying that, but, man, the confidence that you have going into a bowl game, chance to finish with a winning record. If you can win this one and go to a bowl game, get a win there, you finish with a winning record. And the way you can use that as momentum to kind of springboard into the 2026 season and beyond, it can't be understated how big of a win this would be.
You also would be able to convince a lot of players to stick around for another year. You also would be able to make this a primetime destination for transfer portal additions. Maybe it flips a recruiter too that's looking at an Arkansas, or maybe it's a team that he knows he's not going to be playing at. A lot can happen in this. The other thing is that you got to remind yourself, Jeff Lebby knows how Lane Kiffin acts, and Jeff Lebby knows how Lane Kiffin's going to run his offense, because if he was on the sideline with Ole Miss for years, serving as the offense coordinator before he left for Oklahoma. So there's a good relationship there in terms of knowing what to expect from a coach who's been in the situation before where rumors have speculated about potentially going off to a new school and it factoring into the Egg Bowl. Does he use that to his advantages to be able to kind of pull the wool over to Lane Kiffin's eyes and run some trickery plays that maybe end up costing a couple of big-time explosives downfield for Ole Miss, to where you just need to get to field goal range and strike? Mississippi State's a solid team, I think, on paper. Like, their record does not justify how well they have transitioned this year. They went to overtime against Texas. They probably had an opportunity and should have beaten Tennessee. So those are two games that you can look at. To get this type of win would be massive for the identity of the program and just the direction that it's going, especially with the uncertainty of Ole Miss. But I also look at this at the standpoint of, what's the one thing we know about Jeff Lebby? Offensive innovator, comes in with a very veer and shoot, down throttle, run it, then vertical passing, upfield approach. I want to see some trickery in this game, because in the great words of Dan Fouts, last game of the year, can't hold anything back. And this very well may be the last game of the year if all things don't go according to plan.
Yeah, I mean, I would fully expect Jeff Lebby to get as deep in his bag as he's been all season. Like you mentioned, Bear, there's no need or no reason to hold anything back in this game. On the Ole Miss side, Cole, I mean, listen, the thing we have to talk about. We have to talk about it because it is the cloud hanging over this Ole Miss program right now. The status of Lane Kiffin. We know, obviously, from the statement that Keith Carter made on Friday of last week, there will be an announcement coming on Saturday, essentially a decision on his future. Will he return to Ole Miss? Will he go to LSU? Will he go to Florida? Nobody really knows. Obviously, we've heard a lot on this situation, but nobody knows for certain what Lane is going to do. I think what's interesting, as the time of our recording, obviously here on this Monday afternoon, Trinidad Chambliss has come out on social media with words of encouragement and unity. And, you know, we're in this together. We're focused on the task at hand. Bear, that being said, I don't know how this Lane Kiffin thing is not a distraction for this football team. I mean, I just don't know how it can't be. Because there's a lot of guys. Go ahead.
Can we just address the elephant in the room? It's a distraction. Like, admitting that it's a distraction, at least get this prepared. Because the last thing that you want to do is go into this game and go, well, we weren't distracted throughout the week. Just admit it. Like, it's okay that this is a distraction. But this is where you're supposed to realize talent outweighs distractions. And I think Ole Miss has the talent to do so.
I mean, there's a lot of guys looking ahead to, you know, what their future is going to be. Where's my head coach going? If I stay at Ole Miss, who am I going to be playing for? I mean, it is think about just the week at practice. How weird this is going to be. I don't know how he goes throughout this week without addressing his football team about it. That's the thing. Like, you don't want to address the media. You don't want to address the fans. You want to play this thing close to the vest. So be it. I don't know how he expects this team to buy into anything he's saying this week if he cannot be honest with them. And that's my thing. Like, what you can't, here's the thing. You can fool a lot of people, Cole. You can fool a lot of people. You can't fool a locker room. So, Coach, are you BSing me or are you not? I need to know where you stand. I need to know if you're all in, you're locked in, you're focused on the task at hand like you say you are, or are you 1 foot out the door? Like, are you with us or are you not with us? Because, again, you can't BS a locker room. I don't know what he could possibly be telling that football team this week. I mean, I thought that when the statement came out on Friday. Like, I don't even know how they're going through and operating practice and being focused on this game. I like – and I'm sure, again, those guys in the locker room, Trinidad Chambliss' statement, they're rallying around each other. I mean, listen, you don't need a coach to fire you up to go out there and beat Mississippi State. This rivalry speaks for itself. It is so massive. This is one of those rivalries they could genuinely be playing for nothing. And this game still means everything to the people of that state. So damn a playoff, damn a bowl game. Pride is bigger than anything in this game. But again, you can't fool a locker room. I wish I knew. I don't know what Lane Kiffin could be telling this football team this week and how he's keeping that group locked in.
You know what the reality is, though, dude? They got to treat this like Varsity Blues. You seen the movie? You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So Varsity Blues, they kick out Coach Kilmer. They're like, we're not going to do it for you. We're going to do it for us. Lane could be the head coach of Ole Miss next year, and I completely understand that. But everybody in that locker room who has been here since the beginning of the season, through every offseason workout, through every fall camp, through all of the narratives of Ole Miss wasting an opportunity last year, have got to rally around each other and realize we have an opportunity to do something special. We, Ole Miss football, not a Lane Kiffin-led team, the Ole Miss Rebels have an opportunity to make history with a quarterback from Ferris State, with a running back that couldn't break into the starting lineup last year at Missouri, with a wide receiver that was known for having drops at Penn State, with a slew of transfer portal players that thought about coming to Ole Miss because of the success rate of other names in the past, with an offensive line that was scrutinized, with a defense that was scrutinized going into the year, with the pass coverage that was scrutinized going into the year. Damn Lane Kiffin. And I'm not saying that to be negative. I'm saying that Lane Kiffin is a guy that if he wants to return, absolutely he can, and nobody would fault him. But you have to do this for you, and you have to do this for the state. You have to do this for the program. You have to do this for the colors that you bleed, which is that hotty-toddy blue, that scarlet red, and that dark navy. You got to do it for them because it's bigger than this. An opportunity for you to be able to guarantee your spot in the college football playoff is on the line. And you want to be able to win. And the beauty of it all is that Lane Kiffin's brought you here. Nobody can take that away. Lane Kiffin has altered the version of how we view Ole Miss. But these players are the one executing on the field. These are the players that are going out and they're making the right reads and decisions to put their team in a position to get wins over LSU and get wins over Oklahoma on the road and respond whenever there's criticism and deliver a comeback performance against Florida. You have 4 more quarters to do that. So the entire premise this week should be whatever Lane does, Lane does. We're Ole Miss football, and we're here to go ahead and represent Ole Miss football, not the coach that could or could not be here come January.
Bear, when it comes to the play on the field, and by the way, I agree with you. I think if you're that Ole Miss football team, you just got to rally around each other and say to hell with what Lane Kiffin's going to do. If he comes back, great. If not, who gives a damn? It's about us. It's not about him.
Go full mock style, guys. Full mocks, Billy Bob, Lance Harbor. Go full on Varsity Blues.
You have to take that mentality. But when it comes to on the field, my big concern for Mississippi State is defensively and how are they going to get a stop? Because you look back at what they've done this season. I mean, Bear, they haven't surrendered less than 35 points in a game in over a month. And that came against Florida when they lost 23-21, that game Saturday, October the 18th. And then, I mean, before that, it was September the 20th in non-conference play when they beat Northern Illinois 38-10, September the 20th. I mean, again, this defense has been the issue. You're going to have to score to win in this one. You're going to need a really, really big game, I think, from a Blake Shapen. You're going to need a big game from that rushing attack, obviously. I mean, Bear, what do you think? What can Mississippi State do defensively? It feels like a game they're going to need to force some turnovers. Kawan Lacey has been absolutely fantastic, just a man possessed. 19 rushing touchdowns, I believe, to this point. Trinidad Chambliss has been on point all season. This feels like, again, and the over-under reflects it in Vegas, offensive shootout incoming, but Mississippi State, it's just, can you get a stop? Can you get 2 stops? Can you force a turnover? something. You've got to try to force the issue and get the football of Ole Miss, because I just don't think conventionally back and forth, you're going to be able to stop them enough to pull off this victory.
Set the tone early. I mean, like, that's really what this is. A couple 3-and-outs, maybe a tip ball that hangs in the air a little bit too long for an interception. That'll be a good way to do it. Mississippi State run defense is 130th in the country. It's not been good. And you got a running back in Keywan Lacey who's trying to break an NCAA record. He would love to be able to be one of the all-time leading rushers in single-season yards. It feels highly unlikely if you don't make the college football playoff, but it still is possible for him. And you got a mobile quarterback in Trinidad Chambliss that has designed runs where he is not afraid to tuck and just pile drive forward for a first down. So you got to be able to really set the tone of your Coleman Hutzler, win your one-on-one battles against the offensive line, and kind of keep, I would say, 6 in the pocket. Like, my number one goal in this game is make sure that Keywan Lacey's only gaining 2 or 3 yards per play. And then when you get the opportunity, make sure that Trinidad Chambliss has no running room. Make him beat you through the air, because at least there is an opportunity for you to force a pick or an underthrown ball, or, a wide receiver juggles the pass to where it hangs up a little bit too long. Those are ways for you to win. It's a lot easier said than done, though. I think the other thing is that you cannot afford Ole Miss to win with time possession. Because the thing about Lane that people get so confused all the time, because you look at the passing numbers and how Ole Miss doesn't have a legit number one and they just spread the ball around. This is a run-oriented offense. And the reason why it's a run-oriented offense is because they love to milk the time of possession. They love the explosives on the ground. They love to keep teams guessing, and they love to watch their opponent kind of put their hands on their thigh pads and just go, we got them right where we want them. Now we take the strike down the field. So you got to avoid that. Like, you have got to be able to, early on in this matchup, win your battles in the trenches. And I would say probably be a little bit physical. If there's a fight that has to break on out and you give up a 15-yard penalty, but you let a Harrison Wallace know, or you let a Deuce Alexander know, you get real comfortable against me on your hip, buddy, because you ain't going anywhere today. We are lockstep. We are in full tango dancing with the stars mode. That's what we're going to be like in this matchup. You ain't getting past me at all today. That's got to be the trendsetter for this game.
Yeah, I mean, with all these rivalry games, man, it's emotion, intensity, that energy. How are you able to corral that and utilize that to your advantage, not your disadvantage? Certainly in all these rivalry games that we talk about, it is a huge piece of it. The emotions are going to be running at an all-time high. Bear, on the offensive side for State, I mean, I think this needs to be a game. Fluff Bothwell and Devon Booth, you got to show up and show on out. I mean, that's, defensively, that's been the way to attack Ole Miss this season. You're able to run the football against them, open up some things in the pass game for Blake Shapen. And we've talked about that pass game. It's pretty darn good this year.
Yeah.
Jeff Levy going to need to get deep in his bag, of course, but I think it's got to start with the running game with those two guys, Bothwell and Booth.
It's actually been really impressive to see how well Ole Miss has transitioned from a pass coverage team from a season ago. Because remember, like last season, the fault of Ole Miss was their inability to stop the explosive plays downfield. That's ultimately what did them in against Kentucky. This season, they're a top 25 pass defense. Now, credit, they haven't been going up against the world-class ass beaters when it comes to passing games. But they're playing better. They're creating turnovers. They're winning with physicality at the line of scrimmage. And they're playing a lot of off-ball to where they're keeping everything in front of them to where they could just easily make a play as quickly as possible. But I think you're right. You do need to run the football. What's going to be the status of Blake Shapen and Kamario Taylor? That's another thing that you got to throw on in here, because Blake Shapen's a good quarterback in the terms of what I think he provides for this team. He can make a lot of mistakes, but he also can make some really good throws deep downfield that are pinpoint accurate. But you may end up in this game needing to turn to number one, especially when you're inside the red zone, just to be able to put up some points. And if that's going to be the case, do we see him actually start this game? And it's more so like we'll go until we can't anymore. Like if Kamario Taylor throws 2 interceptions and they're shutting down the run, do we turn to Blake Shapen? Because again, all bets are off. It's one thing to say we appreciate having, you as a veteran that's been around the program for the last 2 years, but who gives us the best chance to be bowl eligible? Whichever guy that is, that's the one that's starting in this matchup.
Bears, we look at this game, again, like I said, with rivalry weekend, the emotions running at an all-time high. Davis Wade will be packed. I think you're going to – it's the other dynamic too, taking it off the field. what's the vibe of the Ole Miss fan base? they're about as pissed off at Lane Kiffin as anybody can be. They're going to be there supporting the team, of course. It is going to create a really, really interesting dynamic in that football stadium. Again, they'll travel well for this contest. Special teams in a game like this going to play a big deal, Bear. It's just the intangibles, again, in a rivalry game, going to be so massive. You cannot take those things for granted. I am fascinated to see how those things shake out and who's better at doing the little things, making the winning plays, as we talk about in a game like this. Both teams coming off a bye week, should be fresh, ready to go. I agree with you. Quarterback for State, really interesting. We know, obviously, Trinidad Chambliss going to do his thing for Ole Miss. Bear, that being said, let's lock in some picks, man. Let's lock in some predictions. Would you like the honors? You want me to start?
I'll go first. Listen, at the end of the day, this is about Ole Miss. This is not about Lane Kiffin. And if the players do not understand that this is bigger than just a coach leaving in the offseason and getting paid more money and you potentially looking at the portal for a bigger NIL check, then you've already clocked in on it and just don't even bother showing up to Starkville on Friday. Just don't. If that's going to be the way you go about it. You've got to treat this game like this is the national championship. Because in a way, it's the only way that you're guaranteed to go have a shot to play in the national championship. I do believe if you lose this game, Ole Miss is out of the college football playoff. And it's a shame to say, but the reality is right now, knowing where Ole Miss resides, knowing that there's so many teams that are going to be fighting for that 10-2 marker, and you don't have a head coach, this is why it's about Ole Miss. It's not about Lane Kiffin. For Mississippi State, this is about bowl eligibility. This is about you showing that, once again, we've put together really promising moments throughout the year. You can see the growth and the maturity and the overall balance and consistency of how we are developing with a guy in Jeff Lebby as our head coach. And we've had some faults, and certainly we've kicked ourselves out. We've kicked ourselves in the foot a few times. But in the biggest game on the brightest stage where we are front and center, 11 a.m. kick, we can deliver. What shows up more? The overall identity of Ole Miss that has gotten to this point, or the ability to force incompletions and careless mistakes by a team that has nothing to lose and they can kind of just leave it all out there? I don't know if Lane Kiffin's going to be the head coach at Ole Miss next year. I don't. In fact, I would say probably right now he's not. And I don't know if you're going to be winning a national championship because of him. But they ain't keeping you out. They ain't keeping you out of the playoff. They ain't making sure that you are not going to have the opportunity to get into the conversation with the quarterback from Ferris State, a running back that was an off-brand guy at Missouri, and a bunch of no-names and a bunch of has-beens that have not been here before, because they represent something bigger than what is Ole Miss football. They represent the state of Mississippi, and they want the state of Mississippi to be able to be front and center stage for all conversations of the college football playoff. Mississippi State, you had a good year, but Trinidad Chambliss and company, they've had a great one, and it ain't ended on Friday night. Give me a final score of 31-20. I am taking Ole Miss to win, and I am taking Ole Miss to cover. They do it for Hotty Toddy Nation. They do it for everyone in that locker room, and they do it for every single Ole Miss player that had dreamt of going to the college football playoff and just came up a yard short. It is bigger than just Lane Kiffin. It is for the program, and it is for the state of Mississippi. Go ahead and deliver a knockout punch and guarantee your spot in the college football playoff.
Yeah, first things first, I'll say again, stoked to get to Starkville. First time ever for me. Really, really pumped for it. It's been far too long, and this one's been coming for a long time. So excited to take in what is a game day at Davis Wade. I mean, I can't imagine many better game days, maybe if the game was at night, but still the Egg Bowl, one of the most underrated rivalries in college football because of the hatred, because of the disdain on the two sides. Again, this is what makes the rivalry special is like they don't have to have any national implications on the line or playoff or anything. They just hate each other, period, point blank. So I fully expect this game to deliver. Mississippi State defensively really worries me. I'll be totally honest. Ole Miss has been a juggernaut. Nobody's really slowed them down to this point, and I fully expect them to score and score a lot. You know, again, Mississippi State really haven't been able to stop anybody. On the other side, I do think there are some areas of opportunity. I think some areas where Jeff Lebby and company can have some success. So I say all that to say I do think this is going to be a little bit higher scoring game. I think Lebby's going to get really deep in his bag. Again, both these teams, like I mentioned, the bye week to get ready. What's fascinating is I'm sure Jeff Lebby and company, they spent their bye week prepping for Ole Miss. Obviously, Ole Miss spent their bye week. Well, they were worried about a lot of other stuff that didn't have to do with the Mississippi State game. Bear, as always, we respect each other's picks. That's the beauty of it. You and I, by the way, on a side note, come into this week tied for our season-long pick'em. That being said, with all due respect, I think Mississippi State plus 7.5 is the easiest money on the board this week. Ole Miss is a distracted football team, and you just can't convince me otherwise. And again, you can fool a lot of people, but you can't fool a locker room. And I don't know how Lane Kiffin is in that locker room with his team all throughout this week. I don't know what he's telling them because they're going to want to know answers. They want to know. The coaching staff wants to know. The support staff wants to know. The team wants to know. Everybody wants to know, what's the deal? Are you with us? Are you not? Are you back? Are you not? And all that's doing is taken away from where the attention and the focus should be. And that's on this football game. Do I think Mississippi State's a great football team? Not necessarily. Do I think Mississippi State is a better football team top to bottom than Ole Miss is? Not necessarily. But all you got to do is be better than your rival for one Saturday. You don't need to be better than them for every single Saturday of the season, just one. And I think this is the one that Mississippi State's going to be better than Ole Miss. All the distractions swirling, Mississippi State coming in with nothing to lose. And you know, Bear, there's something to be said about the football gods. And I don't think the football gods are going to smile on what Lane Kiffin is doing and how he's handling this situation. I don't. And it's a damn shame for Trinidad Chambliss, Kawan Lacey, that entire football team that's going to have to suffer on his behalf. But I don't think the football gods will smile on it. And you know what? Mississippi State ain't either. I think they're going to bring it to Ole Miss. I think they're going to make them pay. It's going to be an incredible atmosphere. Cowbells will be ringing. Hostile environment. We know it's a tough place to play at Baseline, but it will be next level on Friday afternoon. Give me Mississippi State to pull the upset and get rivalry week started off with a hell of a bang. Hail State wins it 34-30 over Ole Miss. Does it keep the Rebels out of the playoff? I don't know. I don't know for certain if it does or if it doesn't. What it will do is punch a bowl ticket for Mississippi State, but more importantly, Jeff Lebby's signature win in Starkville comes at the hands of the Ole Miss Rebels, a distracted football team. And in a game like this, if it does not have your full attention, you will pay the price. And I think Ole Miss is going to pay the price on Friday. 34-30 Bulldogs. And what I think is going to be a thriller down to the wire. Hail State gets the dub. And we will be on hand to witness it. So write it down. Write it down.
There it is. There it is. Chris Phillips just made the list. You done messed up, Phillips. You done messed up. High Tie Nation.
Who's gonna keep the list? Kiffin, he's not gonna be there.
The Bear is sticking with you through and through. We got this,
dude. I mean, I love the Rebs. They know I love them, but hey, don't blame me. I'm locked in on the game, unlike potentially somebody else. So, guys, that being said, that's our picks. I'm going Mississippi State. Bear is going Ole Miss. The Egg Bowl never disappoints. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you agree with me? Do you agree with Cole? Who comes out on top Friday at Davis-Wade Stadium, the Dogs or the Rebs? Guys, that's going to do all for us. We appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in before we get out of here. Do want to tell you about our friends over at FanDuel because, as always, we are brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. Guys, it's NBA tip-off week. FanDuel is your home for live betting, so even if you miss the start of a game or you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel's got live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth-quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. However you want to play, now's the perfect time to join because FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com/SECU to sign up today. Once again, FanDuel.com/SECU. Play your game with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. And, of course, they've got all the lines, all the action on rivalry weekend. So make sure you're taking part in that as well. Guys, again, that's going to do all for us. We appreciate you all tuning in. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube. Check us out where you get your podcasts all across your favorite social media platforms, as well as our website, secunfiltered.com. For Cole the Bear Thompson, I'm Chris Phillips. We're signing off. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you this weekend in Starkville.